Today, I'm speaking with Ed Rigsbee, who spent his entire career helping associations and societies. And I think that today, more than ever, it's an important moment for association to provide value to their members. So I'm sure you're going to enjoy the conversation with Ed. And also, he will be speaking about the Cigar Pack, an amazing community that he started. Enjoy. Hello, and welcome to a new episode of the Business of Meetings podcast. Today, I have the immense pleasure to speak with an icon in our industry, Ed Rigsbee from Rigsbee Enterprise, from the Cigar Pack, there's the ROI guy. He's been helping associations, societies throughout his career to recruit member, retain member, increase their revenue. Absolutely delighted. Ed, how are you?
I'm great, Eric. Thanks so much.
And also, you've written, I think, 5 books. Some of them are behind you. Is that correct?
Yeah. One book on soccer, which probably most business people don't care about. One book on member recruitment, and 3 books on strategic alliances.
That's fabulous. And 2,500 articles. Is that correct?
Well, actually, Eric, I don't know. About 5 or 10 years ago, I quit counting. And so about 5 or 10 years ago, I was at 2,500 hard copy, print published articles. Today, with so much being printed electronic, I have no clue. I just don't know. And
I'm always fascinating to hear the stories of the people. How do they get into the industry? I fell into it by pure coincidence, as many people, but what is your story? How did you come to help associations and societies? What is your background?
I'll try to do a reasonably not long version, but, I was a little bit lost, and I ended up working up in Yosemite National Park as a retail manager. And in the winter, I ended up getting a posting to be the manager of the ski shop. And at the week before the season was done, I got fired. They said I was obnoxious. I can't imagine being obnoxious. But anyway, the whole season, my sunglass supplier had been trying to get me to come to work for him. And he got a hold of me right before I left the park. And he said, "Hey, we really want you to work for us." And I said, "Thanks, but I don't want to go up to Northern California. I want to go back down to Southern California, finish school, yada, yada, yada." He goes, No, we want you to go to Southern California. So he goes, "Will you at least meet with the president down there?" "Yeah, sure." And the interview was about a half hour of him telling me why I should come to work for him. I said, "What the hell?" I was handed keys to a company car, handed a company credit card, and my friends and I went out cruising and blew a tank of gas that night. Had a big 400 cubic engine car. Anyway, so I took to selling sunglasses like a duck to water. One of the things that I really enjoyed while this company was focused on selling sunglasses to drugstores, because I came from the ski industry, I really put a lot of my energy selling sunglasses to ski shops. And one of the things that I noticed over time, the ski reps, they would do product clinics. And, I thought, well, this is fascinating. So I bought myself a spectrometer, which is for measuring the light transparency, the UV, the IR transparency, all that. And I started going around and giving product clinics at ski shops. And what it did for me, it boosted my sales, and it boosted my sales of higher end stuff. And, then all of a sudden, the company that I was a rep for asked me to start training the other salespeople on how to do these product clinics. And then some of my retail customers started asking me, "Hey, can you do some training for my people on selling?" Okay, fine. Well, and then fast forward, it's 1984. I'm at a sales meeting for the company I was with. I meet Patricia Fripp. She was the NSA president a million years ago in the 80s. And, all the speakers we had at our sales meetings before, I thought were idiots. And this was the first speaker. I thought, wow, this woman's got something to say. She says it well, and she seems to really enjoy doing what she was doing. so I got real interested in, what professional speaking was. Now, it took me a few years after that till until I joined the National Speakers Association, started doing more and more paid talks. And then in 1990, I'd been with this sunglass organization for like 17 years. And the owner flew down and, wanted to have lunch with me. And he says, Ed, it's time for you to leave. Really?
Right. When the owner comes down, is either you taking over or you leaving.
Yeah, time for you to leave. And it's like, okay. And so I had, my wife wasn't too happy with that because she was 8 months pregnant with our second son. But, it was like, this is the opportunity. Either I go start my own sunglass company, which I didn't really dig the work. I mean, it was good money, but it didn't float my boat. So, talked to my wife, took the risk and said, okay, I'm not quite ready yet, but I'm putting the shingle out. And when I first started going after business, it was associations in the retail world because I had been writing for a magazine, Action Sports Retailer, that year before I got, ousted. And so I took the articles and, contacted editors. Hey, would you like to run my article? Oh, yeah, that'd be great. Hey, who books your speakers? Well, so-and-so. Well, can I talk to them? And it just grew and it grew and it grew. Initially, I mostly did sales and marketing, for retail. And then a bunch of my buddies were like, oh, Ed, you're all about networking and partnering and there's this new topic out called partnering. You should write a book on partnering.
Okay.
Hey, 1994, my first book, The Art of Partnering. And so that took me down the path of doing alliance work. And I did that for the next, 15 years. But, with the associations, what happened, Eric, is all through my career, I really resonated with selling my speaking services to associations. One of my clients, Jerry Lenander, he was executive director of California Alarm Association. The guy that was the president that year really liked me. I'd met him at the international event in Puerto Rico. He was going to be president. He wanted me to speak. So they hired me to be the keynoter. And Jerry's like, well, Ed, can you help me out a little bit? Can you give me a little extra? Can you do a, industry roundtable workshop? Yeah, sure. And well, at that, so I'm, when I do roundtables, Eric, I just kind of get a flip chart and ask everybody what's on their mind, start writing it all down. And then we get like 10, 20, 30 things on the flip chart, ask people to start voting on it. So they believe that they at least have a modicum of control on how the session is going to go. And then the one or two topics that get the most votes, we get into. Well, this particular one, there's a lot of board members at that meeting, and they really want to talk about the value of the association. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, I started asking questions and this and that and the other. And tell you what happened. Before I knew what qualitative research was, I was doing qualitative research. My bad. Didn't even know what it was. At the end of the session, I'm looking at all the pieces of paper all over the room and all this and that. And I said to the guys, okay, so it looks like for your X dollar investment, whatever it was, you get about Y dollars of return investment. They'll go, yeah. So you divide that out. I forgot what it was. So for every dollar you invest, you get something like $10 back. Yeah, that's right. Well, I contacted Jerry Lenander, their executive director. I said, Jerry, hey, the work we did was pretty interesting. Would you like me to write an article for you about it? He goes, yeah, that'd be great. So that was my first article on member ROI, on the return on investment. And Eric, I just fell into it.
Wow.
It wasn't a plan. I just fell. Now, fast forward, that was in 2000. So for the last 20 years, I've been doing a lot of this work, and over time, more aggressively have been doing more and more and more of it. Mm-hmm. And around 2015, I started getting less aggressive doing my strategic alliance work. And, here we are in 2020, and I mostly focus on helping associations grow their membership by teaching them how to prove the return on investment that they deliver in actual dollar numbers. Because you've probably heard it a million times. Oh, membership, it's priceless. Yeah, no, it isn't. If there's a value to it, we can measure it. So
yeah, absolutely.
That's how I got into this.
That's fascinating. And I must say that the last 20 years have actually prepared you to today. Because if there is a moment in the history of association where they need to prove the value of what they're doing to their members, more than ever, it is today.
Yes. And, one of the things that I started doing several years ago, I can't remember exactly when it was, about 7 years ago, I started helping my association clients to produce what I call a ROI member recruitment brochure. And it's just a simple threefold, 8.5 by 11 piece of paper printed on both sides. Today, a lot of people would want to do it digitally, but I still try to encourage my clients to do it, to publish it digitally and hard copy. Because, when you take a trifold, you can put it in your pocket, you can put it in your brochure. And it's a tool that helps members that want to be member recruitment evangelists. It helps them, it walks them through. They can sit with a colleague and go, here, let me show you why membership is a good business decision. Let me show you why membership is a good financial decision. Let me show you why membership is a good career decision. And then they can go through and all the features of membership are listed. What, through the qualitative research, what the members as a group through our research have said each feature is worth to them. So, for instance, a group I did a couple of years ago, Western Roofing Contractors Association. We went around to 3 or 4 different
Western Roofing Contractor Association. My goodness, there's an association for everything in this country.
Oh, yeah. So, there's the National Roofing Contractors, there's the Western Roofing Contractors, each state has a roofing Anyway, so we went around a bunch of the different states in their area, and we did the measurement, and this is just top of mind. And it came out after we decided, okay, it cost somewhere around $500 to belong. Here's how much you get. It turned out that for every dollar they invested, $42 back in return value if they choose to use all the features that are available to them. Now, if they don't use everything, it's not going to be $42. It might only be $37, or it might only be $29, or it might only be $19. But still, it's really easy to show, hey guys, here's why it's a good business decision. You're not getting 10% from the bank these days. And if you can belong to an association and get $10, $15, $20, up to $40 back for every dollar you invest, well, it's just a no-brainer. You should do it. So
one of the revenue of an association is meetings, is live event.
Yes.
Now, in this day and age, obviously 2020 like a nightmare. Going into the future, do you think that meetings are going to remain one of the driver of association? And if yes, how could an association really create a meeting that is bringing values for the members and for the industry?
Okay, a few things here. One, let's go back to the 1950s. The association's budget from their membership dollars was 95%. So 95% of their budget was membership dollars. 5% was non-dues revenue, things like a meeting. Today, professional societies' membership dues cover 30% of their budget, and trade associations cover 40% of their budget. So not only meetings, other educational activities, safety courses, certifications, all kinds of stuff. Now, when we get to the meeting, we have to think about for a minute. A lot of associations will say, well, the meeting is a feature of membership. No, it isn't. Anybody can go to your meeting. Unless it's a closed meeting, anybody can go to your meeting. So the true feature of membership is the differential, the discount that the member gets. So if it costs $1,000 to go to a meeting and a member pays $800, then the true feature of membership is that $200 discount.
Right.
So a lot of people get a little confused on what things are. Now, what's going on now? Yeah, there's been a lot of associations are having virtual meetings. I run, Eric, a CEO group every Tuesday morning. Association CEOs running on a Zoom call. Well, Tuesday morning for me in California, midday for them in the East. But we talk about, what's going on, their meetings, their management, this, that, and the other. And in my raw and unedited video series on YouTube, I've got a bunch of interviews from a bunch of these CEOs. And what's gone on is the cost of the meeting by going hybrid or going virtual, by going virtual, the cost of the meeting went down because they only have to deal with the platform. They don't have to deal with the physical space. And a lot of them that have really been doing their job well have boosted their attendance, some of them as much as double. So actually on the virtual meetings, a lot of associations are making double the profit they were making before. Now, not all. I can tell you, one person that I talked to it's in the run and edit, he talked about, we couldn't get as many programs, we didn't get anywhere as many people to sign up, but we've got right now, a lot of the companies are saying, okay, we might send a CEO or a top person to a meeting, but maybe it just doesn't make sense to send our lower level people. And where I've got to guess from hearing what people have to say over the next 5 years, as soon as we get over the pandemic, and who knows whether it's going to be in 2021 or what, I don't know. But most of my association people are planning virtual meetings through second quarter 2021, and some have already moved their third quarter 2021 to virtual. Mm-hmm. So going into third and fourth quarter, let's back up. 2021, first and second quarter, there might be a few smaller meetings, where there's less people. More socially distanced. Okay. Those aren't going to be too profitable because you've got to still pay for a huge amount of space and you're not putting people in them. Those meetings aren't going to be profitable.
So you do an hybrid model.
Well, the problem with a hybrid model, here's the problem with the hybrid. The association people are telling me if they go to hybrid, you have to pay for the space for the physical meeting and you have to pay for the platform to put the virtual meeting on. So that doubles your cost to put the meeting on. So if you're not going to double your attendance and you've got to keep your cost high, it's not financially feasible. So everybody's talking about these hybrid meetings, and the association people are saying, please, no. What's moving to is they're talking about, a lot of the associations talking about, okay, next year, third quarter, fourth quarter, if we have the live meetings, probably going to be less. And it's probably going to be only the top people from companies. A lot of government people still aren't allowed to travel. And what they're going to be doing is they're putting on virtual meetings, whether you want to call them webinars or virtual district or regional meetings for the lower level employees. So they're finding, a lot of the associations right now are finding, okay, we can plan the in-person meeting for the CEO and the top level because they're going to pay the $1,500 to come to the meeting or those higher fees. But, we're not going to be able to get as many of those people. So we're going to have to, to look at how are we going to serve the lower level employees. And they're going to be doing it either in regional meetings, if they're live, or they're going to be doing it in virtual meetings. I mean, all of this, from what I've been talking with my association execs on my Tuesday calls, this is what's in the works. This is what they're planning. This is what they're in the midst of doing. To answer your question, hey, 5 years from now, we're going to be back to where we were.
Hopefully earlier, but yeah.
Look, as we're speaking, the UK's okayed the vaccines. In the US, the FDA is picking their nose and still trying to figure it out. And so we don't know when the vaccines are going to get out. Like in California, where I'm from, they're talking, the governor was on the radio yesterday saying there's going to be 300,000 doses, but but it takes 2 doses for a person. So now we're talking, okay, we can only inoculate 150,000 people from the get-go. Which ones are we going to do? And, it's going to be obviously
the first responder, the health worker, the teachers. That's the priority.
Not going to be teachers, not going to be first responders. It's going to be only the health workers, and only the health workers that work in the ICUs. Because when we start looking, how many first responders do we have in California? Probably 3 or 4 million. I don't know what the number is, but you think about, you've got police, you've got fire department, you've got paramedics, you've got others that are all quote first responders. So it's not going to go as quick as we all hope and wish and dream.
I agree.
So that's why I'm saying is meetings to some degree will start getting a little bit more populated next year, third and fourth quarter. But, we've still got the issue of, okay, if you put a meeting on and your market hasn't had the shot, will they come to the meeting? Or what's their spouse going to say? What, you going to this meeting to go have fun? You're going on a junket and you're going to put our family at risk? I think not. So I think that we, a lot of us in the meetings industry, we're trying to be very optimistic, and we all should be. And we professional speakers, it's our job to be optimistic. But, since we're on a podcast talking about meetings, I think it's probably better to be realistic and know that next year there's going to be small meetings. And toward the end of the year, there might be a little bit bigger, but they're still going to be socially distanced. And, I don't believe big meetings are going to really happen until 2022.
Interesting. Well, I on one thing I totally agree with you is that I prefer to face the brutal facts and be realistic about what's going on. Now you're talking about maybe C-level executive attending meetings and then regional level for others in the company.
Yes.
You are at the intersection. You're quite unique. And I didn't mention that in my introduction because if I do the full introduction of Ed Rigsbee, I'm taking the whole time for the podcast. But you are a CSP and a CAE, so a certified speaking professional and a certified association executive, which is quite unique. So in that quality of association executive and professional speakers, what is your take on the risk that organizations are taking when they select a speaker, and especially now that we know where the industry is, your opinion about free speakers versus paid speakers?
Sure. Well, Eric, let me first say I firmly have my feet planted on both sides of the fence as a CAE and CSP. Here's what is going on. E-Speakers, which runs the National Speakers Association registry, started offering, months ago, certified virtual speaker, and I think it was a good thing because you have to have a minimum to be able to be a certified virtual speaker. It doesn't mean you're phenomenal. It just means that you've got the bare minimum, and I think that going forward, it's always been a challenge because a lot of associations are looking for that non-dues revenue. They're looking for sponsors to pay them a lot of money to help them make it work. And one of the things that the sponsors want is slots on the speaking platform. And it's a way to in a more softer way, give a commercial. And in some situations, it's not so soft. It's obvious.
I hate it. Quite frankly, I hate it when I'm being sold, when I'm going to listen to somebody. Give me content. The more content you give me that has value for me, the more I would want to buy from you. I would be willing to follow you instead of just, okay, sell me something now.
Well, Eric, that's only smart people to do that. And I hate to say I've met a lot of reps for companies that I wouldn't call smart. So the challenge is if you're going to put a a representative from a company on, at least be honest and say this is a sponsored event. Then the other thing, if you're going to have a representative from the company, yes, you're absolutely right. If that rep does a good job and talks about his product as a category, but not specifically his product and what this category of things can do for you, yeah, people are all in. They love hearing about it. One of our friends, Aiden Crawford, he's a master of that. He goes and he does workshops and he barely even mentions his company or his product. He just gives a content workshop. But a lot of people don't. And a lot of attendees are, like you just said, sick and tired of being sold and sick and tired of having people come on and, yab, sell. So association people are in kind of a between a rock and a hard spot. They need the non-dues revenue dollars, especially now in this pandemic. They desperately need those dollars, and they've got to mitigate. So, what I think that a few associations are smart, and what they do is they give presenter training to their sponsors, and they kind of mandate that they take this presenter training. And I think that's a smart thing to do because, you want to communicate to these sponsors. Yes, okay, your people are going to be up, but you got to do it right. And you got to do it smart. And you can't read line 1, 2, 3, 4 off your PowerPoint. You got to be exciting. You got to be engaged, because anybody, even a trained monkey can read a PowerPoint. So I think that becomes the issue that some of the larger associations have really figured it out and do a good job. And some of the mid-sized and smaller ones haven't quite figured it out. I would say to every association CEO that might be watching this, look, if you're going to have a sponsor speak, okay, it's fine. But make sure they speak about the category topic, not their brand, and make sure that they're engaging. And the last 60 seconds of the talk, if they want to talk about their brand, great, talk about their brand. But the last 60 seconds, it's just like when you write an article. Okay, you write an article. The body of the article is for the reader. The bio at the end of the article is for the writer. You get a sentence or two, what you get to say who and what you are, but that article better be a really good article. I mean, I've had people in my article workshops do articles. I remember, I'll never forget this one guy's a chiropractor. And looking through the article, I said, would you like me to tell you why this article will never be published? He got a little bit indignant. What do you mean? I go, it's a commercial. It's an advertorial. If you try to take this to an association executive, they're going to tell you to pay to put it in their magazine, and it's going to be $4,000. And it's like, oh, okay. And so I think that we just have to be careful. And the other thing, see, a lot of associations, and a lot of it's more the societies than less the trade associations and more the societies where they have papers and posters, and they've got like 800 or 1,000 papers or posters, and they're all, I'll call them analytical people. Mm-hmm. I don't want to call them anal, and and they're really smart people, but they're boring as sin. Mm-hmm. And if they understood the concept of modulation of voice, they're very good at being monotone, and they never change. And once in a while, they take their breath. And if somebody asked them to modulate their voice, no, that's being too commercial. Yeah. So I think that's a challenge. Well, let's face it, Eric, if I get really quiet and I get close to this microphone, right, everybody's going to shut up and listen, but they're only going to listen so long. And I've got to get back up to absolutely. Yeah. It's just the way it is. I mean, what I heard a million years ago in the speaking business, as a speaker, you can either speak like you're on a freeway doing 60 miles an hour on a straight road, which is quite boring, or you can speak like you're on a mountain road with twists and turns and up speed, low speed, downshift, upshift, and that's what gets people excited.
Absolutely. You're talking about societies, association, and communities. I'd like to have your take on the future of community, because you have communities here on LinkedIn, on Facebook. People said, no, you should have it on your own platform. You never know what's going to happen with those social media. But maybe much broader, in a much broader sense, what is the future of community in 2020 and beyond for the human beings and for the profession? And also, I'm very curious, Ed, and there's something that you send in your resume, something that you're exceptionally proud of. And I'm sorry if I'm probably the only one that doesn't know, and I don't know if it's linked to community, but you say Kentucky Colonel and Lord of Glencoe and Loch Aber. So you need to explain that to me, okay, especially with my accent.
Okay, so a Kentucky Colonel. So that's something that the governor of Kentucky, it's an honor, bestows upon people. It's kind of a cool thing. So if I want to call myself Colonel, I can. And, like anybody can go to Highland Titles and for, I don't know, $50 buy a little square of land, and then you become a lord. So Eric, from this point forward, you really should refer to me as Lord Colonel Edwin. And
okay. Well, the only Lord that is known in my house by me and my family is Lord Vader.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not sure it's a good thing.
Lord Vader, did you know Lord Vader just died?
Well, the guy who was playing. Unfortunately, yes.
So community, here's the interesting thing. I think, and I believe this to my core, that associations need to do even a better job than they're doing of community. It's a lot of associations. Okay, so let's say you have a chapter. Let's pick a state like Nebraska. Maybe in the capital city, you've got a chapter, but what about all the outlying people? Or in Colorado, you got a chapter in Denver, but what about down in Pueblo or
Boulder or
way down south. I think it's Pueblo. And it's a long distance. And so you've got to look at, okay, let's create satellite communities all over the place. Mm-hmm. And people like getting together. And, it's just like the community I created of association executives, the CEOs. Every Tuesday they're on Zoom. Yeah, they pay a couple bucks to be part of it, but not much. And it's a community where they get together. They're looking forward. They're colleagues at a similar level. They're comfortable talking to one another. They'll actually, one CEO, a couple of weeks ago, it was a woman. She said, and I was talking about it. I brought up the topic. I said, I got to say, guys, I've realized that this pandemic has hit me harder than I realized. I think I'd been joking myself, and I started talking about how I felt, and this one CEO says, I was on a call with my chairman of the board, and I started crying. And she said, I couldn't stop the whole day. I was crying. Just the emotion was
absolutely. Yeah.
So, and I think what's gone on, especially with this pandemic, we've been holding our emotions in, the old stiff upper lip and all that. And I think when you have a community where it's safe, you can talk to people. You can, not that we're trying to price fix or anything, but we can talk actual dollar numbers. We can talk what things cost, and we can have a more in-depth heart-to-heart conversation. And I think that creates such a huge amount of value. Now, people do that same exact thing at their annual meeting every year in the bar. A handful of people get together. They go in the corner, they talk about whatever they're going to talk about. And as they drink, the more they drink, the more loose they get. Well, I think that we need to be honest that we as humans, we need this human touch, even if we can't physically get with many people. What was it in the LA Times today? Mayor London Breed from San Francisco, this gal, she says, I'm single. I haven't been hugged since the pandemic started. And it's like, wow, that's fascinating. So, I still hug my friends even during the pandemic. I don't care. But But what the hell? And I even shake hands, but I have, my Trader Joe's hand sanitizer. I shake hands. I sanitize my hand, sanitize their hand. We do this. Okay, we're good.
A picture of you with your governor of California and hugging each other then.
Oh, my governor of California, that moron.
No. We cannot talk politics here. I was just reflecting on the hug and the fact that obviously you're in lockdown now. But
well, I'll tell you, the governor of California, I really wished I could have spent time with when Arnold Schwarzenegger was governor.
Right.
Cigar smoker. I would love to have gone to Sacramento and sat in his tent with him and smoked a cigar. That would have been the coolest thing.
You should bring him to the Cigar Pack, which brings me to the last part of our conversation today. Where I met you thanks to the organization you created, and then thanks to Carolyn Strauss, who introduced me to that when she came to the Florida Speaker Association. What is Cigar Peg history? How did you think about it? By the way, the PEG is Professional Education Group, or it means totally...
It used to be Professional Emphasis Group, and then it got changed to Professional Expert Group.
Okay.
And then at the National Speakers Association, about 5 years ago, they closed all the pegs down. So, what happened was years ago, some friends of mine, Dale Irvin, John Dolan, a handful of others, when I was still in the sunglass business, they wanted to create the pool peg, and for people to sit around the pool rather than go to sessions. And so John Dolan asked me, he goes by JD, hey, can you get me some sunglasses that say pool peg on the temple? So yeah, sure, I'd be happy to get them for you. And so I got some sunglasses donated, and there's just a bunch of people, just kind of just loose that would just go sit around the pool at the conference rather than going to sessions. And then over time it got a little bit more organized, and Irene Dolan kind of was getting shirts made up and selling them, and they'd give the money to the foundation. Well, come about 1998, and all of a sudden, the NSA convention, they started having Monday night free. Didn't tell anybody, but they said, well, we're doing this so we can, so people can network. BS. It was just to save money. But had they have told us, we could have organized something. So the next year, in 1999, I organized something. So I'm sitting with my buddy, Grant Doyle. We're in Banff at Wild Bill's bar, and we're talking and we're drinking and smoking Cuban cigars. And we're having this discussion about, something, Dale's on the board now. JD's got his CPAE, the guys that are really driving the pool peg, they're becoming too mainstream. It's time to stir it up. So we came up, I don't know how, but we came up with the idea, let's start the Cigar Peg. Holy crud. It's like, what hit the fan. So in
1999?
1999. So in 1999, I called Ed Robinson, a friend of mine who lives in San Antonio. That's where the convention was going to be. I said, Ed, can you find me a place to put, here's what I was trying to do, to put a party on. He found me a place. I talked to the manager. We cut a deal with Sauza Tequila. They're wanting to promote their Hornitas. And so they gave us they gave us 6 dozen t-shirts free. And it just said Sauza Tequila on it, And so we were selling the t-shirts at the convention. And what the t-shirts got you was if you had dinner, you got a 15 or 20% discount on dinner. But even better than that, all night in the bar where the party was, $2 Sauza tequila drinks, whether it be blended, shots, mixed, or anything, $2 drinks. Even women were buying men drinks because they were so cheap. Well, that's a very, very matches comment you just made, Ed. What's that? Even women are buying men drinks?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess. I is that misogynistic? I don't know. I don't think it's misogynistic because it's just the truth. Because
okay, let's continue about the Cigar Pack.
So at the end of this, Grant and I had $900, and we had no plan. And we're in the back of the room at the NSA convention, and they're announcing, the people that made donations to the foundation. So we got talking. We go, well, I wonder if we gave this $900 to the foundation, if next year they'd announce us. Well, we gave the $900 to the foundation, and no, the next year they didn't announce us. But the next year was 2000. We were in Dallas, Texas. We put on the party again. and the next year. Sorry, the next year was 2000. It was in DC, and it was. I was talking to Susie Baez. She doesn't belong to NSA anymore, and a very voluptuous blonde. I realize that's probably misogynistic too. I said to Susie, Susie, would you like to be the Cigar Peg poster goddess next year? And she goes, that'd be awesome, but let's get somebody more famous. And I said, okay, I know exactly the person, Fripp, because you just say goddess and Fripp's in. So I contacted Fripp and asked her if she'd like to be the Cigar Peg poster goddess. And she was all in. She got one of her suppliers to print flyers for us. And she said, Ed, if you'd like to make some real money, why don't we auction off me? Now, Fripp was starting her coaching business at the time, and that was, worked out perfect. And she was going to be at the DC convention. She was going to be doing a Cavett Institute program. So she invited Grant and I to come in, talk about it, and we auctioned her off. Well, then, guess what happened? Dave Gordon was president that year. There used to be a real friction at NSA between the religious right and everybody else. Well, Dave Gordon, nice guy, he was part of the religious right. He decided to take Dale off the program that year. Dale shouldn't do his update. Well, when Grant and I found out about that, we were a couple of days before the convention. Dale and Grant and I and Susie were all out drinking. And we decided, let's put Dale on the Cigar Peg, and he's going to do an update there. So we went, we had no flyer, nothing. We just, word of mouth. We started telling everybody. Nito was there. Harvey McKay was there. Everybody wanted to hear what Dale had to say. Yeah. And so we had a party that year. Jack Daniels was our sponsor. Same thing, Jack Daniels t-shirt.
I must say that, I discovered that like 2 years ago, basically. And besides the beautiful fact that you've raised in total over $700,000 that you gave to charities, in terms of networking, in terms of content, and the quality of the people that are there, it's just amazing. Whether you smoke cigar or not, I really, really enjoy meeting a lot of the top speakers and top people in the industry thanks to that. And that's a great testament to communities, what you've built there.
Yeah, fast forward 20 years, and we've gone through a lot of morphine, a lot of iterations, a few hiccups, a few skin knees. But we emerged at the end here, or we've emerged at this point. We have a beautiful community. The National Speakers Association is now suggesting that other community groups follow our model, because it's no strain on them. Right. It doesn't cost them anything, their time, and we just give money. And so
for good cause. And I must say that being non-politically correct and hating, personally, I hate the political correctness, but that's another debate. Having Dale doing this update and the weekly call that you put together during this pandemic, that has been a real pleasure, a great learning as well. So thank you very much for that.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, it's, Eric, it was just like with the association execs putting that together at the beginning of the pandemic, put the Cigar Peg thing together too. Yep. And, and people resonated. People, absolutely. Like yourself, people, oh yeah, this is great. Let's keep doing it. And, I'll just keep this thing going as long as we're all locked down.
And afterwards as well, I hope.
I don't know. We'll see how it all, it's who knows what the future is going to bring. You just never know. And what new iteration of Cigar Peg there may be, how we're part of the NSA convention, what other extracurricular events, because today I'm, every year I would be in Key West today. The Cigar Peg puts on a Key West event right after Thanksgiving. And rather than being here, I'd be in Key West. But because of the pandemic, we can't do it. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm excited about the possibilities, and we'll just have to take that wait and see what happens, and see where it all goes. But yeah,
thank you. Thank you so much for your time today. And as you rightly said, we don't know what's going to happen, which always bring me to one of my thought that Forrest Gump was Belgian. Nobody knows that because he said that life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. So thank you so much.
That is true. And I'm not sure, is Godiva Belgian or what country is Godiva from?
Yes, it's one of them. Absolutely.
That is one of my wife's favorite chocolates.
I'll keep bringing them if I can return after this to my country of birth, because obviously home country is now the great United States of America. Ed, thank you so much for your time today. Absolutely. I look forward to seeing you face to face and smoking a cigar together.
I can't wait, Eric. I can't wait.
Thank you, Ed, for sharing your knowledge with me today. Love the work that you've been doing with the association and that you keep doing about the ROI and you're providing to them. And also enjoy being part of the Cigar Pack, the amazing community you've started. If you want to join us on the Facebook group where we speak about the business of meetings, go to www.eventbusinessformula.com/group and please link up with me on LinkedIn. Thank you.